as Christians. Talk on the book of Joshua chapter 3. Growing up, I know all these stories. I still remember some of them. A lot of things, I forget a lot of things now. I want to be honest with you, but usually when I'm going to deal with them, I go through my little refresher, get back to remembering all that I know about them. But these Bible stories are common, known to us, and the stories in itself is a story, but at the same time, um, it is a lesson for us to learn. Because in this chapter that we will be studying this evening, we could see that we could go through the events that the Israelites they experienced when Joshua was leading them. But one of the questions that I ask myself, what can we gain to apply to our life? And what I see from this book of Joshua here that we are studying this evening, Joshua
there the ark of the covenant, saying, When ye are come to the brink of the water of Jordan, ye shall stand still in Jordan. And Joshua said unto the children of Israel, Come hither and hear the words of the Lord your God. Know that the living God is among you, and that he will without fail drive out from before you the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Hivites, the Perizzites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, and the covenant of passeth over before you into Jordan.
looking into those verses there, I could see that God was encouraging Joshua, his man, to make the first step. Whenever we are there, God is expecting us to make the first step. You remember the wedding at Canaan. For those people to see God did a miracle, they had to went and fill those pots with water. You remember the little boy and his lunch. For those people to see the miracle of God of how he could take just a little lunch and feed 500 men, because the Bible says 5,000 men were fed. I don't know how many people were there, but that was just men that the Bible were talking about there. And through that small loaf, it happens. We remember the story of the fishermen. They were fishing and they went all night and they didn't catch any fish at all. And when Jesus came there, he told them, cast your net on the next side. So whenever God is putting us to the test, as he was putting Joshua here to the test, we as God's people, we will always have to be the first one to make that first step. Because faith is something that we have to take and we have to just exercise it. We exercise faith every day, and sometimes we don't even know that we exercise faith. Because some of you go from Ladyville to Belize City, and I'm sure none of you asked the bus driver to show you his license. Some of you go to church and you sit on those pews, and I'm sure you didn't check to see how well those pews was nailed before you sit. But you take them by faith and you sit down believing that it will work. For us as God's people, we have to at times come to where we will understand we need to make that first step and trust God by faith, because it is only by faith that we'll be able to make it. Joshua would have never seen what would have went on there with that Jordan River if he did not trust Jesus. He could have said, Jesus, I don't, or God, I don't think that you are the one that have led me here, because, well, this place doesn't have a bridge. This place is deep. And he could have went on and say a lot of things, but he trusted God because this was where God tell him that you are going through and that you will pass through. So he have to go there and have to go there by faith. In verse 14 to verse 17, let's see what verse 14 to verse 17 says.
And it came to pass when the people removed from their tents to pass over Jordan, and the priest bearing the ark of the covenant before the people. And as they that bear the ark were come unto Jordan, and the feet of the priest that bear the ark were dipped in the brim of water. For Jordan overflowed all his banks all the time of harvest. That the waters which came down from above stood and rose up upon an heap, very far from the city Adam, that is beside Zertan. And those that came down towards the sea of the plain, even the salt sea, failed, and were cut off, and the people passed over right against Jericho. And the priest that bare the ark of covenant of the Lord stood firm on dry ground in the midst of Jordan. And all the Israelites passed over on dry ground, until all the people were passed clean over Jordan.
You know, we have a testimony, and we need to understand that our testimony is not just for us. Our testimony is also for the people in the world. If the world can't see Christ through me, then there might not be much ways that they will be able to see Christ if they do not see Christ through us. This priest, as we had noticed, he had to be the one to test the waters first. He has to get into that waters first. And for us to reach the world and to lead the world and to bring the world to where the world needs to go and know that God is in control of every situation, we have to test those waters our very own self, and we have to test those waters to make sure that the world will understand. God always takes us through a lesson of faith. And as I've said, it's not just for us alone. I have been through some very great storms in my life. I know that most of you know many of the things that I have been through. Your church, Leaderville Baptist, has been one that has assisted me during one of these times when I was going through a very, very, very bad time. But the testimony that I now have from that and the experience that I've had from that faith now can be passed down to the world so that the world can see that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and he will be forever. For Israel to cross that Jordan River where Joshua was instructed for them to cross, Israel have to follow the one that was leading, to which was the priest. In other words, you as a church and we as a church, we have to be the one to test the waters first so that the world can follow. I noticed tonight that there is a lot of new faces, and I believe maybe somebody within the church or so on have tested the water, and these people have seen the light through their testimony and through what they have done, and that have brought them to salvation. We as God's people, just as the priests have to test the water, we have to do the same. And at times it is not an easy thing to do so because we have our very own fears, we have our doubt. But I believe if we know God, we can always know that Jesus Christ is always the same yesterday, today, and forever. In verse 1 to verse 3 of this chapter now,
It says, And Joshua rose early in the morning, and they removed from Sittim, and came to Jordan, he and all the children of Israel, and lodged there before they passed over. And it came to pass after 3 days that the officers went through the host. And they commanded the people, saying, When ye see the ark of covenant of the Lord your God, and the priests, the Levites, bearing it. Then ye shall remove from your place and go after it.
Now, I know you might wonder why I start from Joshua chapter 3, verse 7 to 13, and then I go back down now to Joshua chapter 3, verse 1 to 3. It is to show you some points here that are very important for us as Christians. Number one, we see the value of patience. Think about what Joshua has went through. He was told to go to this certain area and to wait on God's instruction. I don't know how many of you have a lot of patience, but I kind of lack of that. And this man was there 3 days, 72 hours waiting on somebody that told him to go there, and when you get there, you will get instructions. There are times when God put us in some position. You ever been to church and you find out, man, this Sunday nobody come accept Christ. Next Sunday nobody come accept Christ. Maybe it went on for 6 months, nobody come, and you become very impatient to believe, well, God is not with you. My brethren, we need to learn in life one thing about God. God is a God that time does not matter. He does not have a time frame in heaven. The Bible says 1,000 years is like a day unto the Lord, and a day is like 1,000 years to him. It means that time doesn't value none at all. And the value of patience is something that God teaches us over time. And maybe right now you're praying for something in your life. Maybe it's healing. Maybe for some family member that might not be living right with you or something like that. But you need to be patient. Wait upon the Lord. The Bible says, for they that wait upon the Lord, he shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagle. They shall rise and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. So Joshua, first of all, to go through this that we have seen him went through, he has to be taught the value of patience, as we have seen there in verse 1 to verse 3. He had to wait 3 days before instruction. Then in verse 3 and verse 4, let's see what verse 3 and verse 4 says now.
And they commanded the people, saying, when ye see the ark of covenant of the Lord your God, and the priests, the Levites, bearing it, then ye shall remove from your place and go after it. Yet there shall be a space between you and it, about 2,000 cubits by measure. Come not near unto it, that ye may know the way by which ye must go, for ye have not passed this way heretofore.
The ark was a symbol of God's presence. That was why the ark entered into the water first. You know, God leads us every day.